stream live. But
it's not. I'm not until you start recording. I'm not gonna.
I am recording now.
Okay, well, stream is going live now. All right. So.
All right.
I guess.
Well, welcome to Hardcore Gaming for Casual Gamers, the podcast and live show about everything hardcore and casual gaming for those of us who have limited time and a limited schedule. So we will discuss anything from competitive gaming and esports to the most casual release title for the iPad or iPhone. We are open to any discussions, and we welcome any questions, input, or anything, and we also welcome guests to the show. So you can hit us up at hardcoregcg@gmail.com. You can also hit me up.
Also on Twitter at HG4CG, and me at TB Lightning Legs, and obviously at ASBean. So.
Yep.
And send any questions and to any account. Doesn't really matter.
Right. Yep. And I should also mention that my name is Andrew Bean, and I'm located on the North Shore of Massachusetts. And my co-host here is.
I am Joe Conley, at TB Lightning Legs, so you can call me TB or the Blumpkin or whatever you feel like.
So, this is our pilot episode, so bear with us. It may be a little rough at times, but I'm sure we'll get better over time. In the future, also, we hope to be going to some live events, such as the Gaming Underground based in Framingham, which will largely be led by Joe. I may just follow him with my MacBook or iPad at some point.
Actually, interesting piece of information. On Saturday, they have the first tournament for PlayStation All-Stars. The beta is out. Actually, I was down at New York Comic-Con. I guess we can talk about this really quick. I was down at New York Comic-Con, last weekend? 2 weeks ago? On the 14th of October, whatever.
Yeah, so 2 weeks.
2 weeks, however long ago that was. But, yeah, so, I mean, I saw a lot of stuff there, and we can get in touch into that a little later. But the thing that I was at most was PlayStation All-Stars. I think me and, the group of people I was with, we were down there. We were in line for playing PlayStation All-Stars pretty much, 6-7 times a day.
Wow.
The game is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is Smash Brothers. It is 100% a Smash Brothers clone. Obviously, they try to make it a little bit more balanced than Smash Brothers. But more or less, it's more of the same thing. But yeah, it's actually a lot of fun.
Meta Knight.
What?
There was the best. That was the biggest.
Kratos is pretty much Meta Knight. At the build that was there in the beta, he's not as ridiculous. But Kratos and Drake were super OP. Their level 3s are because the big difference from Smash is it has you get supers like Marvel's Capcom, level 1, level 2, and a level 3.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's level 2s in Marvel's Capcom, but you get the point. But yeah, so it's not like that random, Smash is the random percentage, and then certain attacks have higher chances of obviously knocking somebody. But no, you actually have to hit them with a super. Which I guess my only complaint about that is you can't combo into supers like a traditional fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it seemed like in the build I was playing, you really wanted to save up for a level 3 because level 3s are unblockable.
Mm-hmm.
And Kratos' level 3 was ridiculous. He turns giant in God of War. Was it God of War 2? The very first stage where he gets giant and he's going through the city. But anyway, and then he pretty much just hits you when you die. And it's super broken. You just save up for level 3. He has ridiculous priority on all of his moves. Yeah, in that build. But he seems a little bit more better in the beta that's going on right now. But you guys can download the beta right now to on PlayStation Network. I think it first came out for PlayStation Plus users only, but now I think there's probably only one day left on the beta right now. But yeah, check that out.
That's interesting. It's a console-based beta, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you rarely ever see anything like that.
Yeah, that's it's a cool idea as far as because the PC has always had a huge benefit with just releasing the beta and having an immense testing stage really before they release the game. Whereas console games have never really done that. They release the game and then they figure it out after everyone spends $60 on it or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the people working on this, you get Seth Killian, obviously he used to be the community manager for Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Has done tons of stuff in the fighting game community, old school player. You get Clockwork, If you guys don't know who Clockwork is, he is one of the best Marvel 2 players in history, and as well as Marvel 3. And they have like Ed Ma, who's a Street Fighter 4 player, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike player, old school guy as well working on it. So there's a lot of people in the fighting game community working on it.
That's good.
So that's pretty awesome. So they're trying really hard to balance the game.
So to interject, obviously Joe is intimately involved with the fighting game community. I don't really play fighting games so much. I more just have a mild appreciation of them. Mild meaning that I like them and they're fun, but I don't play.
Smash background.
Yeah. I played Smash a lot with some old pros, Korean DJ and Omega Black Mage at University of Massachusetts Lowell. There was a decent community, so I played that. That was in like 2006, so that's actually 6 years from pretty much this time of year.
Right when it all came out, right?
Melee was actually came out when we were like freshmen in high school or something like that, 4 or 5 years before that. Believe it or not, because it was a launch title for GameCube. But
Melee, I thought
Brawl was coming
out.
I
mean, that was like right when Brawl came out, right? I don't remember the release date.
Yeah, Brawl. The Wii came out with Brawl within that semester as well, so within that 3 or 4 month time.
So you started on Melee, really, and then.
Yeah, and I didn't really. I played Brawl when it first came out with them, and I stopped, and I never got anywhere with it. Which was probably a wise decision, really.
Yeah.
But so Joe's intimately involved with the fighting game community. I have played World of Warcraft on and off, but I've played since about 2007, the summer of 2007, which was the Burning Crusade era. And a lot of my play in that game has really influenced why I want to do this show, because I've always been a very limited World of Warcraft player, and I also played StarCraft 2, and I'm a very limited StarCraft 2 player, which I'd like to get into more later. So, I'd always play, and I'd always get up to cap, get, the right gear, and then I wouldn't be able to play for a couple months, and I would get behind in raiding and stuff again, and then I'd start playing again, then I'd start to get involved with raiding, then I would quit out again, and then I'd get geared in PvP, and then I'd fall out again, and then a new patch would come out, a new expansion would come out, and now with MOP coming out, it's a lot of influence to me, for me to get going. For example, the MOP has been out for over a month, and now I'm really slacking. I'm not even level 90 yet, so.
I'm really slacking. I haven't even bought it yet.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
I will be soon. Yeah. I keep saying that.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
I keep saying a lot of things,
So obviously, that's things like that are a lot of influence for why we're doing this show. So we're really open to anything. We want to discuss anything. We want to dive into anything. We really hope to build on this and expand upon this to the point where we'll even go in and split a Wii U to play the new Zelda or.
Oh, speaking of Wii U, it was at Comic-Con.
Was it? Yeah.
And I had a chance to play it for maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was not impressed, to be completely honest. I think that the tablet controller is the stupidest thing I've ever witnessed the company do.
Mm-hmm.
But they are releasing a Super NES inspired controller, kind of like how they have on the Wii the classic controller. It's more like an actual SNES controller, so it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, the controller was like a big I don't know. It really bothered me. As far as the actual games and the software, it actually looked pretty cool. They had Pikmin was there. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, Pikmin 3.
I'm sorry, what?
Pikmin 3.
Yeah, 3. Some zombie game, which is more of the same crap that you get everywhere. So, but the system itself looks pretty solid. Mm-hmm. The only thing I will say is I heard some stuff about Tekken 6 having frame rate issues on the Wii U.
Yeah.
Which I don't really know what that's about, but yeah, we'll see when it comes out, see how it ends up turning out. But I really didn't like the controller. I thought it was kind of really forced.
Yeah, I just read another article the other day, and this has been a discussion that me and Joe have been having a lot lately, every time we talk, because I've been reading a lot about it. Lately I've been getting into the development and programming scene, listening to a lot of podcasts to do with that, learning as much about that as I possibly can, and one thing I've been seeing a lot with some of these other 5x5 studios and stuff, some of their shows have discussed this. They're a real big podcasting/blog network just for anything technological, primarily focused on development and programming and iOS and Mac related things, but they do a lot of other stuff broadly too. And some of them are big former gamers, which is super common. Anyone who does programming and development, they were probably some nerdy gamer at one point, or still are. So one thing they've been discussing is
less time.
Yeah, this generation coming up with the Wii U, the Xbox, Durango, and I'm gonna call it PlayStation 4. Yeah, Durango.
I don't even know why they came up with that shit.
I keep thinking of like an Xbox with like Jeep wheels and like a cage, like a Jeep, because there's the fucking Dodge Durango, which is I think what a truck, but I keep thinking Jeep.
Yeah, is that like Chevy?
Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
I don't know, it's stupid. Whatever.
Yeah, it's stupid, but whatever. This generation will be interesting because it's the first generation to come out since the iPhone and smartphones have existed. And I just read another article the other day about how like console gaming is dead and that like the peak of the console market has passed. Whereas like if you asked like when the last generation came out, they only expected almost exponential growth, right? And now they basically plateaued. They'll probably even see a fewer number of purchases this generation than they did the last generation because the Wii really said that, here, gaming has really transitioned, and now console gaming is for the casual market as well. But now everyone who's casually gaming, there are more gamers now than there ever have been because everyone and their mother, including my mother, who never really played video games, is playing games on her iPhone because it's so cool and hip and trendy, and it's easy to do. But now, what are they going to do? Like, I mean, there's not... Like, my college roommates who aren't really gamers, but they like things like Mario Kart and stuff, they're not... I highly doubt they're going to go out and spend $200-$300 on a Wii U when they can just play stuff on their iPhones, and that's much hipper and cooler to do for them, right? It's much easier, more accessible.
It's definitely the hipster thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like... Right, but they got a lot
awesome. I do like that new, did you see the Mini?
iPad, yeah, it looks cool.
It looks cool. I mean, I'd probably rather still get an iPad, the third generation.
Yeah, that's what I have. I mean,
the Mini's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Mini's awesome. It hits a certain, like, if you want something that's, like, more portable, easier to carry around, but, like, you want something different with a bigger screen than the iPhone. I think it's good. For me, it's like, I'd rather have the really big screen than I'd rather have my smartphone for everywhere, you know?
Yeah. I guess that's my big thing with the tablet is I have my iPhone. If I'm at home, I'm going to be on my desktop. So if I'm like out, I'm going to be on my iPhone. Right. Although tablets are cool. I do like them. I just don't know where I would find time to play them. It's kind of like I have the same problem with portable consoles. I actually really want to get a Vita because there's some really good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Ragnarok Odyssey launches. Well, it should have launched yesterday, but well, if you're on the East Coast, Hurricane Sandy, so you're not getting it.
Right.
But they have the new Assassin's Creed. Actually, looks really good on it. Persona 4 the Golden, a lot of stuff. And PlayStation All Stars is also on that with crossplay to PS3. So if you don't have PS3, your friend does, got a Vita, play that crossplay.
That's weird.
But yeah, no, like I would buy one because there's definitely games I want to play on it. It's just like if I'm at home, why am I going to be on a handheld? I can be on my PC. I can be on my console.
Yeah, I mean I have a 3DS, and the only thing I ever play on it, and I haven't played in a while, is Ocarina of Time 3D, right? And I have a working Nintendo 64 with Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, GoldenEye, Star Fox, and War Gods. Yes, War Gods. For those of you who have never played War Gods, download an emulator for Nintendo 64 and play it. It is the shittiest 3D fighting game you'll ever play, but it was a...
And play as Kabuki Joe, because he's the best character.
Yeah, or I like Voodoo, or Anubis. Basically, like, they go back and it's something like... There's a character from, like, each, like, cultural time frame in history, so there's, like, an Egyptian guy and, like, a voodoo guy and a...
And it's, like, even more over the top, like, stereotypical than Street Fighter.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Which is really hard to do, because Street Fighter is, like, super, like, stereotypical.
And it has fatalities, right? So it tries to take on the really gory elements that were... When Nintendo 64 came out, like...
I think it's like Mortal Kombat.
Right, Mortal Kombat was a huge title back then. I mean, it's still big, but, like, it didn't... Not like it was back then, in my humble opinion. So... War Gods was sort of like trying to say like, oh, look at this, like really much like the cool 3D graphics and everything that were really had great graphics for the time. For the time, yeah. It's a really shitty game, but it's hilarious to play every once in a while. Actually, we should stream us playing that at one point.
Yeah, we actually should because I do still have an N64 as well with like tons of games. I like Jet Force Gemini,
I'll just
bring down the best N64 game ever.
Yeah, do you have two controllers? Blast Core, yeah. Do you have two controllers? I have one.
I have two controllers, I think I have two.
So that sounds like a future...
my old apartment, we used to have it set up over on the small TV on my desk.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have like Donkey Kong 64, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time.
Mario 64.
I don't think I have Majora's Mask anymore, which is actually pretty saddening.
Yeah, I have Majora's Mask. But I don't have Mario 64, which I used to love that game. I actually, it's funny that Mario 64...
Mario as well, definitely.
I love the fact that Mario 64 has really became this huge speed racing thing. Speed racing has really emerged. And if you're interested in speed racing, I would follow, there's a speed racing website, but I look up Cosmo Wright, which he speeds...
doing a lot of Wind Waker stuff right now.
He's doing a lot of Wind Waker stuff.
You guys saw he beat the record. I think it was 5 minutes and, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 minutes and 21 minutes?
I have no idea.
5 hours, 21 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, he also streams, like, Banjo and Kazooie and, like, Commander Keen 4 and stuff, but he's a web designer, and he made the whole website for speedrunning, and I feel like he's really built that community with some other people. So I would check him out if you're interested in that at all, but it's interesting to see Super Mario 64 is one of the most popular games, speed racing. And when I was in elementary school, over the phone with Rob Ward, we would start a level at the same time and see who could beat it first. The only thing, it's much more advanced now because you have to stream stuff. Because we had to do like the honor code, right? So it's like, okay, I finished the level, I win. But it's much better now, and they actually keep track of points, and they have this whole other system, so it's really nifty.
There's actually something, I'm trying to find it right now with Mario 64. I believe there's something coming out on the Wii U with co-op Mario 64 remake.
That's good. That's good. I mean,
I have not seen it, but if that is true, we will definitely be doing some of that because.
Yeah. I mean, that's in some ways that is the biggest speedrunning game. Ocarina of Time is very popular, but they found so many.
Wind Waker. Right now is the most popular for speedrunning because everyone wants. I mean, Cosmo's the man, so
right. Cosmo's the man, and whatever he's doing, whatever big game he's doing, is the most popular at the time. I mean, so good for him. He's.
I would like to see some Star Fox Adventure speedruns.
Star Fox, I love that game.
That game's actually really awesome.
It was I mean, I love Wind Waker, but it was like had real graphics on the GameCube, whereas Wind Waker had the cel shading graphics, really cartoony. So if you really wanted the real, like, prominent 3D graphics, the best thing you can do with the system at the time, you had to play Star Fox Adventures. It was a real fun game. I mean, I think it was a real underrated hit, which I actually had read on someone's blog.
I think it did pretty well, though, overall.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I mean, I think I read a blog once that had, like, the Star Fox Adventures as a real, like, underrated top hit for GameCube. Like, games you should play that you didn't know about. So, I humbly agree with that. So anyway, this show obviously, especially at first, will kind of dive off on a lot of tangents. At some point, we may become more organized, and we also hopefully will be adding another permanent co-host.
Yeah. So we will. I think there'll be a lot of information coming very soon about a lot of stuff that we'll be doing.
Yeah.
I have a few things that I want to do as far as other streams, not particularly on. I want to try to get a set day for this as far as what day we're going to do it. So we'll figure something out. But either way, there'll be a lot of news. So if you guys follow us, on Twitter, we'll definitely be posting plenty of information about this.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll be streaming us during and beyond our normal recording day too. We also will be streaming us playing random games. We hope to do a charity marathon at some point. We're not really sure what the theme is going to be. We might do Zelda. We might do some random other shit like War Gods or.
I'll probably be a lot of N64 stuff.
Yeah, a lot of N64.
I guess why not?
Yeah,
I haven't played 64 stuff in a while, so.
Right. Maybe we'll have me play Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Or something ridiculous. Or we got to stream us playing StarCraft at some point.
I think maybe later on today, we will do some 2v2s in StarCraft, so maybe we'll check that out. It'll be bad. We haven't played forever, so.
I would like to take a brief thing and just discuss what is popular, what is going on with, since we are hardcore gaming for casual gamers, I want to discuss what defines a hardcore game. And what are the biggest hardcore games out there right now? From esports to not esports to anything else, really. So,
well, I guess we should talk about the big three then. If we're talking about, the most hardcore game, the most competitive games.
Not even just
esports. Number one, League of Legends.
League of Legends, which right now on Twitch, it is the most watched game currently, and it has literally twice as much as the next most watched game, which is World of Warcraft: Mists of Pandaria.
Which is not a really competitive game, so I'm going to probably
No,
avoid
but
them in the
I want to
top
say it.
3.
See, this is part of why I want to discuss what defines a hardcore game. Because for me, as a World of Warcraft player, predominantly, really nowadays, I feel like a hardcore game is any game with a large community, with some sort of large multiplayer base that a lot of people play and follow. You know, like so. Zelda has become a hardcore game because people are speedrunning it. But like, if you go and pick up like Assassin's Creed 3, I don't call it a hardcore game because people are going to play it. It's going to be real popular for a while, but it's going to die off, right? Like, there's people that are always going to love the game, but like, there's not going to be this hardcore interactive community always talking about it, always discussing it. There might be a small couple hundred people doing it, but not real major, right?
Yeah, for me, what makes a hardcore game anyway is a competitive community.
Right.
I guess, I mean, MMOs, I kind of group MMOs as a different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a hardcore game. I'm talking, I guess.
Right, you're talking competitive. I'm saying
hardcore.
hardcore across the board. We can discuss what types of hardcore games there are, but I'm thinking hardcore.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the top 3 are obviously League of Legends is on top of the world right now.
Yeah.
StarCraft 2, of course. And then the fighting game community, whatever you play, Street Fighter, Marvel, Persona, BlazBlue. I mean, it's all the same. Fighting games are all.
If you're gonna put a face on fighting games, though, you'd say what, Street Fighter?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Street Fighter 4 right now. Well, it depends on the country you're in. I mean, like Marvel vs. Capcom in America is like so big right now. But everyone calls it FGC, so it's like it's fighting game community, regardless of the game you play.
Mm-hmm.
Capcom fighters, I guess we'll put it. If it's a fighting game made by Capcom, that's what people care about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people don't care about other ones. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love me some Tekken, but yeah, but definitely Capcom fighters.
Right.
What's going on?
Right. Now, I would say those are competitive games / esports. And I say / esports because I know that fighting games don't really like to be called esports.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so I would say those are the fighting games. But I call MMOs really mainly just World of Warcraft. But I call it a hardcore game because it has a very large, dedicated audience. People are always playing it. People even play there is a competitive aspect. People do play PvP really competitively, but a lot of it is the PvE. But I consider it a hardcore game because it's largely online based, has a large dedicated audience, always building content for it, and it has a very large streaming community that is competitive. So even the PvE is competitive. Who's getting shit done first? Who's getting their shit done the fastest? Right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think it's one of these things where, like I said, I guess there's a line between hardcore and competitive gaming.
Right.
I just think there needs to be some form of competition,
right.
high level competition.
Right.
I should say, for it to be considered something in the hardcore gaming category.
Absolutely.
Which I mean, like speedrunning, like there's a lot of. They even have like speedrun tournaments at like actual tournaments where people will sit there and then you can see who finishes first.
Yeah.
Stuff. So,
and we would love to hear about it. So please Twitter us at HG4CG or email us once again at hardcoregcg@gmail.com. At some point, we're going to start doing some polls, I think, too. These are all things we're going to build upon over time, and we really hope to improve this. I'd like to interject right now. Wow, the weather's fucked up. It is kind of sunny, but it looks hazy out, and it is like lightly raining.
Yeah, if you guys are on the East Coast, then you probably have some really crazy stuff.
Yeah, we want to reach out to anyone who's been affected by Hurricane Sandy. You're probably not listening right now, obviously. Well, no one is, but...
Well, especially New York, New Jersey right now, they are definitely having some fun.
Lifehacker, the website, like the huge tech website, their servers are fucking down right now. They were flooded. So, and that's like a huge tech website. Like, companies like that, if you're shutting them down for weather, then if you're shutting down their servers, then something shitty's going down.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We didn't get too bad up here, luckily. Yeah. But I have a couple branches in my driveway from trees that fell, but nothing too crazy.
Right. Fair enough.
But I knew New York, they actually evacuated Queens and Queensboro, that area down there. I'll say I do have some friends down there, but they actually didn't end up having to go anywhere. But I know there was like tons of flooding. They shut down the T and all that stuff down there.
Right. One of our potential future permanent co-hosts actually lives in Manhattan.
In Queens, yeah.
In Queens, okay.
Right outside Manhattan. So, Yeah, technically Long Island. I don't know. It's
Okay.
New York.
Yeah, fair enough.
They do stuff.
Whatever.
They do funny stuff. It's all New York City, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's all New York.
Because one city is like 5 cities.
I was
down
in there. Yeah, I actually came home. Courtney and I, my girlfriend Courtney. You'll probably hear me mention her from time to time. We were just in Albany for the weekend. We actually came home a little bit earlier than we originally planned because we didn't know what the weather was going to be like and whatever. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be terrible, but like last thing we want to do is get trapped there an extra day or just like get stuck in the hotel doing nothing. It was just easier to come home. Like we didn't know.
Western side, so you probably didn't see much until you got back around the Connecticut, Massachusetts area.
We came home Sunday anyway, so I was in. We came home from Albany, and then I stayed in Nashua, and then I left like Nashua Sunday night late, and then I came back here. We actually didn't have power, cable, or internet for a good chunk of the day. Pretty much for the afternoon and evening. Came back on around like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucked because I don't know, losing a day of vacation. I wanted to get a lot of shit done yesterday, but it didn't happen. But whatever.
Well, I guess one good thing about this weather is I've actually had time to start playing Street Fighter 4 again. Start playing. So,
nice. How's that been going?
I would be on Saturday down at Game Underground for the AE tournament. I've not been down there in a while, so. But yeah, I've been training really hard again in that game. So that was kind of cool. Got a couple days off work. So
you're still playing Chun-Li, right?
Yeah. I will be playing Chun-Li this week.
Yeah.
I'll be, I play Cammy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Really working on a lot of my Cammy setups, so that'll be a work in progress. But
nice.
Also, everyone thinks she's really cheap right now, and
really?
I generally play low tier characters, so.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah. Well, I have not touched it yet, but Miss Pandaria, what's going on with that?
It's a lot of fun, man. It's really an amazing experience. It is content-wise, like Cataclysm. I mean, it was still World of Warcraft. It was a lot of fun, but it was easily the worst expansion in many ways. Mr. Pandaria, though, it just like how immersed you are in the environment and the story and everything, it is the best I've ever seen. And the level of the content really hasn't existed since Wrath of the Lich King. And Wrath of the Lich King had all of Warcraft 3. Like, you were waiting for Wrath of the Lich King. You were waiting for that expansion as a Warcraft fan. And this game takes the Pandarians existed in Warcraft 3, right? Like, one of the heroes you could purchase in the Frozen Throne expansion. Because you could buy heroes instead of making one of your... Like, there were neutral heroes you could buy instead of just playing with your own built into the 4 races that existed in that game. You could buy a Pandarian Brewmaster. And it's just... There's voice interaction, and there's, like, you get to play as other characters beyond your own, and there's really this level of immersion. They've really beefed up the engine and the graphics more than they ever have before. So what's cool is that if you want the classic World of Warcraft experience, you can play through all of the old content, right?
Yeah,
it is still there. But as far as a new expansion goes, like, you have a whole new continent, which is awesome. And you have this immersion, this level of immersion and storytelling that has never existed before. And, like, I'm playing it.
That's one thing I heard. I heard that the cutscenes and, like, the actual questing is, like, so great in this expansion compared to, like, previous ones.
It's amazing, and
like,
it's
you
hilarious.
Actually really want to watch everything.
Yeah, and I want to do that with this expansion anyway, because, like, I, like so many other people with Cataclysm, it's just like I was behind. I didn't really get to play it at first, and then I jumped in and I just sort of power leveled through a lot of it. So, like, I didn't really pay attention to the content as much. And I sort of, like, caught up at the end, because I didn't really, like, get into the rating and stuff, really. But, with this one, it's like, I'm way behind. I haven't been able to play that much. I've been so busy.
What are you playing? You playing your mage or your druid now?
I'm playing with the mage, and I'm playing him as Horde. So as a Blood Elf mage.
Okay.
I have the druid over on Horde as well, but I haven't touched him. And I've just
you guys wondering, I play human holy priest.
Yeah.
And only holy, so in PvP I'm completely useless, and I have no desire to ever switch my spec for PvP.
Yeah.
So if you see me, you can character name Blumkey, just come and one-shot me. It's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I would play as a when we jump into like random ungraded BGs, like I would go as like arcane and PvE gear, and I do crazy damage, and like idiots would I'd rack up a huge a killer score with like tons of killing blows as arcane and PvE gear because I just blow through people. And at one point, I was actually I was going through people. I was killing people so fast that like someone on my team was like, someone in here is. It was a couple mages, both arcane, just coincidentally. And like, he's just like, one of you is super squishy because you should not be pulling that kind of damage. So.
Yeah.
I actually haven't tried PvP because they've changed it a little bit. Like the gear, they've tried to. I know the goal of Mist of Pandaria was like to make it so you didn't have to be as distinctly PvP or PvE. It was easier to transition back and forth. And I haven't tried it. I haven't played. Like everyone is 90. The expansion's been out for just over a month, like a month and a few days. And
well, I guess that's a real question. If you have limited time, right? How does Mist of Pandaria kind of stack up versus the other expansions?
Right.
I know Cataclysm. Like if you didn't have a lot of time during Cataclysm, at least the point that I was playing, like it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Like people were only doing 5-mans and then they were going straight into looking for raids. Like they set up a lot of stuff to really get you like through the content.
Yeah.
Extremely easy.
They've built upon that. And I'm not at 90, so it's hard for me to gauge the end game content. But I know like LFR exists. Like they're only expanding upon LFR, and I know there's some talk down the road to do LFR for old content, which is awesome. So
what the item levels on your gear are going to be the same as actual raids in LFR?
No, it'll be LFR will be like, once again, it won't be. It should be better gear than you'll get in 5-mans, but it's not as good as you get in raiding. Or it'll be similar to like the best potential gear you can get in a 5-man. So like it'll probably be like similar gear that you can buy with, I don't know. I'm not even sure how they're doing it, but it's not gear. It'll help you gear to do raiding, to do regular normal raiding.
Yeah.
But it won't gear you as well as normal raiding, because it wants you. Part of the idea of LFR is that only, like, believe it or not, only 3 to 5% of people who played WoW would get through the raiding content.
Oh yeah, I mean I believe that.
Yeah. I mean, so many people like. You look at most guilds too, like most guilds that I've been in that are super casually oriented. Like, there's such a huge difference between like progression guilds that actually raid actively and have a schedule and get through the content, and like every other guild. Like you look at like progression guilds, like Towley, he's the big person on Twitch who streams raiding, and he's on heroic mode, 25-man. He's doing Mogushan Vault, and he's probably on the next raid that's out now too, Heart of Fear. Right, and I look at
there's like another one up.
So, anyway, I was talking about WoW and raiding and what happens. So with LFR is the gear is better or equivalent to the best gear you can get in 5-mans, not excluding what you get from Valor points, which are the higher tier badges that you can get towards that current tier's content. But LFR, what it does is it helps you get through the raid, it helps you get geared for it faster, and it teaches you an easier version. It's kind of like, between like heroic mode and not heroic mode, right? And there is heroic mode rating, but this is sort of a sub-tier below heroic mode, right? Or normal mode rating, basically, or 5-mans, and it helps you just really learn the content and help you get geared for it. Something that's also cool is that in Wrath of the Lich King, 5-mans were really fast and easy to go through, even heroics. What they did in MoP is they're going back to the Wrath system. So 5-mans are super fast and they're super easy, normal mode and heroic mode. But now there's challenge mode. It doesn't get you any better gear because that would just be. It's hard to add in another level of gear between like 5-mans and raiding and stuff. So it gives you like gear that's aesthetically different. So like you can like, oh, this person has completed challenge modes within a certain qualifying time, so they get the better looking gear. But it's aesthetic. The skills and abilities aren't any better. But what it does is that it makes 5-mans a lot faster. And besides the Hour of Twilights, which came out on the last patch of Cataclysm,
which are awesome, by the way.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I love the Hour of Twilight dungeons. Specifically the Night Elf one. It's awesome.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was awesome. And the problem with 5-mans before that is, like, especially if you're DPS and you had, like, a 30-minute queue, 5-mans took you, like, an hour. And you don't want to be playing...
Like healer, so my queue time is about half a second.
Yeah, and I was a resto druid for most of it, but like I did level my mage for a while too, and you really had to party to go faster. But
that long, right? We weren't really getting that long of queues when we were duo queuing.
But yeah, it would go by the healer queue time though. So the way it works is that like it should only the more people you have, it should only queue faster, and sometimes that doesn't exactly work because there might not be like there might be other parties queuing more other like if you're a solo tank or healer, you'll get partied faster because like if there's any random blank spots in a group that's already formed. But whereas if you have a party, you can't get partied with other parties greater than so like if we have a party of 2, we can't party with a group of 4 because that would be 6. But if you're a lone 1, you can fit into any party size minus 5.
Yeah.
So like you have so like a tank. A solo tank will have the fastest queue time, arguably, but you'd still have fast queue times with like a healer and a DPS. But if you're solo DPS queuing, it takes forever. And what sucked though is that we're talking about like hour-long instances that like people would quit out of 30 times. So like you'd go through like if you finished a group, half the time like especially at the beginning like you'd start a group and like by the time that instance ended, you'd have a whole other group than you started with. Like, it was so... And it would take, like, an hour and a half, 2 hours on some of them. And, like, why the fuck do you want to be playing content that's an hour and a half, 2 hours unless you're
waiting? I just love when, like, you get put into a group that's just on the last boss, and you're like, yes, okay, finish it, get your honor.
Or your justice.
Valor, whatever, and then be done.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a benefit. The only downside is that you'd get more, like, you'd get other badges and other gear and drops from the other bosses, but that was the most important thing. Was that final Valor point, if you hadn't Valor capped for the week. But yeah, so it's awesome because, like, the instances are super fast, and it's much more like the rat system unless you want to do challenge modes. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to add more content for everyone. So say if you're someone that's just never going to do raiding, really. You have the ability to just, like, you do a lot of 5-mans and you want to focus on 5-mans, you can do the challenge modes and do all that stuff. There's farming now, which I haven't really done yet, so you have to finish this quest line, and then you can, like, farm herbs and stuff like that. So for the gathering professions, you can sort of like farm on a certain plot of land and grow stuff, and that saves you time on gathering and crafting, arguably. So they've added a lot of other content to sort of satisfy you if you weren't going to raid, and they've made raiding more accessible, and they've made just doing instances and dailies a lot more fun. So, I mean, it's in many ways they used Cataclysm and said, okay, we have to do Cataclysm to set up for Mist of Pandaria. And Cataclysm is going to be this branching expansion, and now the remnant of for the rest of the World of Warcraft, like it's going to be just a totally awesome experience. So I mean, like, yeah, I mean it's incredible, and it's very like it's very casual friendly and hardcore friendly. So
yeah, which is what I heard. I mean, I heard this was the best expansion yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best experience in World of Warcraft, period. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best experience I've had in an MMO, really.
And, they put Chun-Li in it as Panda, so I will definitely play it.
Yeah, you can do, like, the Chun-Li bonnet and stuff.
But, I guess there's one other thing I wanted to touch on, before we spend the whole episode talking about WoW, because I know we can.
Yep. No, we can go.
That is StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2,
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going around, and, I mean, there's stuff that even reached the fighting game community. I don't know if anybody saw the article on Apple Winter about StarCraft 2 dead. It's at a point. Don't get it wrong. StarCraft 2 is not dead. StarCraft 2 is at a point where it is not getting new players and it is not getting new viewers. And I think the whole article that I was reading was like, since NASL's inception, prize pools haven't gone up. MLG is still losing money on StarCraft, even though it's still popular. Whatever, I mean, obviously, Korea in general, there's a lot more people playing, switching over to League of Legends just because LoL World Finals and there's more money in it now.
Yeah, I mean, and if you go on, like, Twitch any given day, right, like, League of Legends does League of Legends still have a big community on, what's the other streaming network, like 3D TV?
Go on TV, no, sorry, that's, what am I saying?
What is it?
Own 3D.
Yeah, Own TV, right. So League of Legends used to really be all on Own TV. And now...
It's everywhere now. And it's still, like, I think a lot of people, like, if you guys follow Team Solo Mid, I think like Chaos and the Odd One, Dyrus, they all stream over on Own3D. I think there's a lot more Korean stuff on Twitch, but I think a lot of the American stuff is still on Own3D.
Right.
I think there's
and at any given day or moment,
Solo Mid's the biggest in America.
For example, like you go on, I'm gonna just like browse games right now on Twitch, and there's still like twice as many people playing League of Legends than any other game, and the second most watched game right now is Mist of Pandaria. So I mean, League of Legends is just like the growth is like there's more people playing that game than probably any one game has ever been played, right? Because the game, right? I mean, even though the casual gaming audience is transitioning to like iPad and iPhones and stuff like that, I think, as far as like real gamers, hardcore gamers, and people really more into gaming beyond like people who game and don't even realize like that they're gaming, right? So there's like my mom plays stuff on her iPhone, but so real gamers, hardcore gamers, or you know people who are into hardcore gaming who are casual gamers like myself.
I guess we can say that we're kind of in between.
Right.
Obviously, I play casually because I don't have the time to play, but I try to play as the highest level I can possibly play.
Right.
Granted, in Street Fighter, I think it's a lot easier. In fighting games in general, if you guys don't know, I play mainly Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition 2012. I play Chun-Li, and Persona 4 and Blaze Blue, where I play Yukiko and Platinum. I play Marvel as well, but yeah, let's not talk about me and Marvel. I'm bad. I don't have time to play that game.
Yeah, fair
but yeah, no, I think it's just easier because like there's a certain point you get in fighting games where your execution and your like I don't know, your understanding of situations is extremely it hits a point that it needs to be at. And like practice is obviously a really good thing, but you can kind of maintain a certain level of skill where I feel like in like, you know, StarCraft 2 or even PvP and WoW, League of Legends, I mean, you never forget how to play that game. You can play that game once a year and still know how to play. But yeah, but like StarCraft 2 and like a lot of these other games, StarCraft 2 mainly because I really think it's really hard to maintain a level of skill with limited time in that game because like it's so much about actual mechanics, like speed, like APM. I know, like, you know, hear that stuff all the time, but it's like you really need to maintain this.
And it's not. It's hard to do too. It's the type of mechanics and speed that like. It's weird. You don't play in a while, and like sometimes if you take a small break, there's a pro and a con. The pro is that you start. It's so hard to play the game fundamentally that all you do is focus on playing the game. Whereas after you play for a while, you start to kind of like do stupid strategies, develop stupid habits, and you kind of can lose. With StarCraft, in many ways, it's easy to drop your bad habits, I think, if you just stop playing for a little while. Because you, in essence, you have to like all you do when you play the game is you focus on playing the game. So it's like it's hard for you to just like make all stalkers or something really stupid, right? Because it's just hard to play the game. Whereas after a while, you start to do stupid stuff, you build bad habits. But the game is.
2v2, all stalkers, the way to go.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the game is so. That's the thing. It's like I love the game, and I was all about the game, and like I played it. I had to be unemployed to play it, right? Right, I had to be unemployed to play it. And now the problem is that it's like you have to like play 12 hours a day to maintain any semblance of goodness, right?
Like,
like,
I mean, I guess that brings back to the point that I was just saying, like StarCraft 2 dying. I know there's some things that Blizzard's thinking about doing as far as making like multiplayer free to play.
Yeah.
And so like when Hearts of Storm comes out, if you want to play multiplayer, you just download the starter edition and you can play on ladder all you want, play customs all you want. And they're gonna make you pay for the campaign content, which honestly is like the thing that I'm really, really excited for in Heart of the Swarm. I think the campaign looks awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, I think it's kind of something they have to do. I mean, this isn't like guaranteed that Blizzard's going to do this yet, but it seems to be the way that they're going. Because there's games like League of Legends that are really like their competition. That's free to play. Granted, don't get me wrong. League of Legends makes tons of money because everyone has to buy those skins and they have to buy that new OP champion because they bounce the thing every other week and it's never actually bounced.
Yep.
Hey, Riot, you guys need to stop patching so much. Maybe once a month, not like once a day.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I think that too much patching, the game never stabilizes to a point that it needs to be at.
Right, like you don't even know if that patch is balanced or not in a day.
Yeah, I think this is one thing that especially the fighting game community. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of like College Chen and stuff like that, but they've been talking lately about like you do want constant patches in your games, and I think Blizzard does a very good job in StarCraft as well. You get a patch every year, like right, so like something's broken for a year, they patch it, and it's like, obviously there's something wrong with the game for a year.
StarCraft is like,
and see if you can overcome that problem before you patch it again.
Right.
And get a patch once a year or once every 6 months and let the game kind of play out and see if it's really a problem or not.
Right.
Whereas like League of Legends, they patch that every other week. New champion added. Now they have to rebalance everybody based on that one champion. Like, it's an awesome game. I love the game.
StarCraft, they're not even necessarily patching like balance every 2 months, but their seasons are 2 months now. And the only way they'd patch in between there is to do a sub patch, is if something is like.
Oh, I think Blizzard has the right idea with patching the games.
Yeah, I agree. It's
like, remember that time when everyone was everyone was saying that Protoss was like this super weak and all this other crap.
Yeah.
And that like they had such a hard time against Zerg because of Infestors. Like it was like when Infestor play, like Roach Infestor really became like really popular with Zerg. And like Terran was obviously on top. Terran's always on top of the world because they're Terran.
Except now, I guess. Well, or at least 2 months ago, like that could have.
Well, pre like for most of the lifespan of
StarCraft too. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and I remember there's all these Protoss players like complaining about like balance and Protoss so weak, and basically what happened was Blizzard was like, well, we're gonna let it play out, and it turned out not being as bad as they previously thought.
Yeah.
And I think at this point in time, like I think it's safe to say that Protoss is probably the strongest race.
Right.
Sorry, Protoss probably a tie, but Protoss is very strong right now. So I mean, all that crying is for naught,
Yeah. I mean, they monitor things closely, and they've altered Terran slowly over time to not make them like easily the strongest. And it's funny, like Terran suddenly flopped off. Like so many people stopped playing them, and like they were losing all the time because like Terran players could do very simple, easy things to win games, and like they actually slowly tweaked it. And I don't know if they over tweaked it or not, or suddenly Terran for the first time reached the point where they had to really start innovating. Whereas Protoss and Zerg from the beginning had to innovate, right? Like they were such a fundamentally harder race to play, and they had so many disadvantages, and really had to be like super perfect with so many timings and upgrades and like your reactions and just
that's playing the macro game.
Yeah,
where let it pan out,
Yeah, they let it pan out, right? They don't overreact. They let people bitch for 6 months or a year or whatever is needed.
The execution barrier in games is actually really high sometimes. So like I don't feel that Zerg was ever really particularly weak. I just feel like you had to work harder to win with Zerg on an execution standpoint.
Yeah.
And like a strategic standpoint, you need more units. You need to constantly be adapting to the situation that's going on. Where like Terran, you can do the same 1-1-1 build and combat anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
like,
Terran is that
it's not that stuff's like really broken. You need to. Zerg players had to adapt to playing Zerg the way that it needed to be played. But that doesn't mean there's a balance problem. And I think Blizzard did a really great job with just saying, hey, let's let this rock for a while. And I think that's something that Riot needs to start doing with League of Legends. They really need to be like, hey, here's the patch. This is the balance. I mean, you get bans in that game. 6 characters are banned every game. If a character is too strong, you can ban the character.
Now, do you think that mechanic is their justification and sort of their compensation for patching and adding champions all the time, is to say, well...
I think it's counter-picking is like the new meta.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, like you always kind of pick like everyone knows like Darius is really strong solo top.
Mm-hmm. Or do you think that the
Teemo solo top to counter him every time? If you want to play that character, you need to ban his counter. It's really to allow certain characters to be able to be used because people will counter pick them all the time, and you won't be able to play them at all.
Yeah.
Which makes the character completely useless to have. And I mean, especially like if you're somebody who likes, I mean, no one bans Teemo. But like, say Morgana, for instance, you know, like I started playing the game. I played Morgana pretty much every game when I started playing AP mid, and now I can't play her at all. But is she a little too strong? Yeah, I mean, she's a little strong.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, like certain bans, like say you get Morgana and you want to ban your counter, or if she even has a counter, like Karthus at mid does really well against her. You know, you can ban that character. It creates an interesting meta game because you can ban counter picks to your characters because the game's so at a high level anyway. Solo duo queue, like everyone knows what that is all about. But but yeah, on a high level, like team compositions are really big. So like there's a lot of counter picking back and forth, and you want to be able to, if you're practicing, you're a pro team, and you're practicing this one composition that you have for your team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want it to get counterpicked. If you spent, like, a week, months preparing for a tournament with this one of these compositions,
yeah,
and then you just get completely counterpicked, and all that time was wasted, you know? I think that's why the mechanic's there.
Okay.
But I think it serves other purposes as well as, like, you know, well, if there's a balance problem, let it rock. Because,
right.
You know.
Right, so it's cool to have that mechanic in the game, but you remove the strategy from the banning heroes or champions if you keep changing the balance, right? Because then you're forced to ban broken characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of saying that like our strategy is this composition and we're going to ban the counter pick to that, right? And we don't care what else happens. But instead, you got to waste 1 ban, 2 bans, 3 bans out of your 6, or however it works, to ban the broken, just to ban out the broken bullshit characters.
And like I said, I mean, that's even fine if you let it rock for a while. You get 6 months of the one patch and one bounce, and say, you know, I don't know, I'll think of a random character, not that she would ever be OP, but say Poppy was OP.
Yeah.
And like, I love Poppy, by the way. It's like one of my favorite characters. She's super bad. But yeah, like, meant she was OP, and then you get like, okay, everyone starts banning her. That's cool. Like, that's one ban, but let it go because maybe she's not as strong as you think she is. And there's some character and some counter to her that you can play that you wouldn't think of. A weak character that actually counters her really well, and then you don't actually end up having to waste that ban on her because you let the game kind of sort itself out. In a sense that, like, we all assume that, like, everybody in any game you play, right? Any game, whether you're a casual player or you know, you play competitively or even somewhere in between, there's generally like this stuff, there's something broken, right? And like people always jump to this conclusion that something's broken before they really spend extensive time testing answers to that problem. Like, just right off the bat, there's no clear answer of how to deal with this problem in the game, and people just jump to the conclusion, okay, it's broken, it needs to be patched. Well, a lot of the times, I'm telling you, it doesn't need to be patched. People just need to kind of think outside the box and deal with the problem in different ways. You know?
Right,
at least that's my opinion.
So, I would like to sort of stem off this now. I was thinking about this. Dota 2. So, have you played Dota 2? And I have some... I'm
going to start playing Dota 2.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested to give it a shot. Do you think a lot of... Dota 2 has sort of exploded, right? Like, right now on Twitch, I think it's the 3rd or 4th most watched game.
I think Dota is more skill-based than League of Legends.
So do you think that part of Dota 2's new explosion is the fact that, I think there might be 2 factors. One is StarCraft 2 flopping off, and well, that's not really one, but that I'm just saying number 1 in order of him saying it, but number 2, and the real reason is that it's due to the popularity of League of Legends, and Dota 2 being a similar type of game, right? League of Legends is
one of these things where, like, I personally think Dota 2 takes more skill than League of Legends.
Right.
Just because I think there's so much counter-picking problems in League of Legends.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love the game. I play League of Legends all the time. But I think there's a lot more strategy involved in that game, and it's not as aggressive as the game. And I also think that there's a lot of these old-school players that played Dota, like, back in the mod, that are like, well, why am I going to play League of Legends when can play a game that I want to play? That's based around what it was originally founded as, you know? If you guys don't know, Dota was started as Warcraft 3 mod.
Right.
And it was a custom game type. And they actually have it on StarCraft 2. I don't know if you played it yet. the custom the StarCraft version.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty sweet. But yeah, no, it was custom game type, and it's just exploded since then. I don't know what they call it, MOBA games, whatever, multiplayer online battle arena.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm gonna call it like narrow scoped RTS.
Really recently, like what the fuck does that stand for?
Right. We looked it up. We looked it up a little while ago. I mean, basically, it's a hero-based RTS, but you remove everything except controlling your hero.
Yeah, and like individual units, you basically like if you're coming from a StarCraft background, you have played the game before, but who hasn't played League of Legends? I mean, it has more people playing it than any game in the world. If you're not playing League of Legends, go download League of Legends and play League of Legends.
Yeah.
And you will love it, and you will hate it.
At least once. Right, like I've played it once, and I said this is a fun game. I just don't have the time.
I mean, you should definitely start playing again. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff. Like the thing is about that game, there's always someone at your skill level.
Yeah.
Like, which I think is the problem with StarCraft and fighting games, right? It's like you want to pick up at this point like one of those two games.
Yeah.
Right, you just go in and you're like, I just gotta play people right off the bat, and you get bodied by these people. Like they all know how to play this game, especially fighting games. Like, I mean, because people troll with like.
All right. Well, what'd you say? You play Street Fighter for a year, and you learn to play the game for a year, and then you become a scrub.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
StarCraft 2, you're just a scrub for however long it takes you to learn how to play. I mean, like, you could be a scrub forever, or you could be a scrub for like 2 weeks. Right. I mean, it might be.
League of Legends. Yeah. After about 10 matches, you understand how to play the game, where you don't. I mean.
Yeah.
The learning curve, like, because you go through 30, like, initial levels before you can play ranked matches or anything.
Yep.
And the one thing they do that's awesome is they rotate the characters you can play, right?
Yep.
So you can play all these characters and try all these characters out before you get to 30 and you spend any of your IP, which is, like, the points you gain to get new stuff for free.
Mm-hmm.
So you can really decide, like, these are the characters that I want to play, and perks them by then, and you really learn the game before level 30. Like, you learn everything, and they slowly introduce new skills, new runes, like, so your stat builds, you can kind of work your way up to it, where, like, what's going to happen when you start playing StarCraft 2, right? Say I never played StarCraft 2. This happened because, I don't know if you guys know, I never played StarCraft 1. I'm a Warcraft 2 player. And I played Warcraft 3 mainly just for fun, but I played tons of Warcraft 2. I love that game. It's like the game ever. But yeah, and what happens is you go on, and I was like, I'm gonna play Zerg. Okay, I play Zerg. I get like 6 pulled, like, and to find another Zerg and 4 gated, like in Marine Rush, like 5-minute Marine Rush, like every game, and I lose like 20 straight games. I'm like, this game is stupid.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, I know it's not stupid because I come from an RTS background anyway, previously.
Yeah.
So I mean, I grinded out and I learned how to play. But it's like you get on and like you have never played an RTS before, and you go on and you get 6 pulled by like bad players. They just 6 pull you to death 20 games and you lose. You're like, why should I play this game? Why should I play it? There's no learning. Like you don't learn anything from that.
I'm one of the.
And I think that's a problem.
I'm one of those people too, and some people kind of disagree. People are going to play good games if they like them. They're going to not play good games if they don't like them. But I think there's other factors to what games people play. I think it's if you see that a community is growing and expanding, it's the thing to play. You're going to play it no matter how hard it is to play, right? So there's so many people like my little cousin that plays Call of Duty. He says it's a terrible game, but he plays it because all his friends play it, right? I think there's that effect. So right now, StarCraft 2 is stagnating, and all of the news out there
about
about
Legends has the Call of Duty syndrome, right? It's a cool thing. It's the hipster thing. So
right.
It's a good game. It's a really good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. Yeah, no, definitely. And that's a lot.
You play here, and we talk a lot of shit about League of Legends and Riot in general.
Yeah.
But I do love the game.
Right. I respect.
I think there's a lot of problems they need to fix in that game. That
And also, we want to tailor a new one because it's what everyone's playing. So we want to make it the best experience possible. Right.
But in general, as far as community goes, right? So like, I guess if you're a casual player and you're going into communities, like StarCraft 2 is like the game. Like everyone is super nice in that game. It is a gentleman's game.
Yeah.
Like.
The gentleman.
You will barely ever get trolls in that game unless you play me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you play Destiny 2v2, you're gonna get trolled pretty hard.
Right, and the trolling in StarCraft 2 is like.
It's funny trolling, though.
Yeah, it's funny.
Like,
it's
like
usually...
League of Legends trolling or like FGC trolling, where people just go in on you and like are retarded.
Yeah.
Like, they just, like, it's funny. You know, people are funny in StarCraft. So.
Right. It's really mild. It's humorous, and, like...
It's rare you get that guy that, like, rages on you because you six-pulled them, you know?
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just go on now and be like, they bitch and
StarCraft 2, actually, if you don't want to get
What?
like, limited time, play 2v2. Like, I mean, at this point, that's all we play. We play 2v2, like, mainly. We barely ladder anymore. But it's a blast.
Yeah.
Like, people just do funny things. You can do a lot of crazy builds. Like, I think we've been doing, like, I've just been opening straight Ling Muta on every map.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've been doing, like, Banshee Marauder or something crazy.
Yeah. I would love to see... I think, in many ways, that's the ticket of StarCraft 2, right? I mean, I think, as far as rebuilding the community, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, and I don't think it would really work, but I think they need to really expand upon 2v2, because if we find 2v2 approachable, and that's how we still play and enjoy the game. There's got to be a lot of other people out there doing it like that. But
Definitely.
But then you go on Team Liquid, and there's very, very, very little about 2v2. There is some 2v2, but it's so minor, it's all 1v1 focused. And I love the fact that it is 1v1 focused, that it's not team play. But at the same time, at the casual level, let's see more about 2v2. Because I hate to say this, but it's like, even though I hate team play, and I think better esports, better competitive games are derived from 1v1 oriented play.
I gotta interject. This is why that's one of the reasons League of Legends is so popular.
And Call of Duty.
Is because when you're bad, you can blame other people for your loss because it's a team game.
Right.
And you're all bad at League of Legends. You are all bad at League of Legends. You don't realize it, but you are bad.
Right, and when we play StarCraft, we want to play together and talk about what we're doing and not just competing against each other, right? So, like, I mean, you want to play against each other, but it's different. I think that's part of it. That's why Call of Duty is so big.
We play plenty of 1v1s as well, which is still fun.
It's still fun, but like, why do you think so many people play Call of Duty? Same thing, because you're playing with your friends. Yeah, so I mean, I hate to say that I think in an ideal world, in my opinion, the most truly competitive games are going to be 1v1 because it's much easier to balance than other things.
Exactly.
But in the end, you're going to find like 3v3 arena WoW and raiding on WoW and playing League of Legends, playing 2v2 StarCraft, playing Call of Duty. You're going to get a lot more people doing it because people want to play together with their friends, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, multiplayer is the wave of the future, right? I mean, like, these one-player games, like, why do you think one-player games have 8-hour content nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Where, like, back in the day, games would have, like, 80, 40 hours content, like, on regular. Now it's just because, like, there's so many... Everyone wants to play multiplayer. You need replay value. Yeah. Multiplayer is more important because the internet. I mean, the internet has just changed gaming completely.
Right. I mean, where you want to spend your time and money, a game that you can progressively get better and immerse yourself in a community, or a game that you're going to play once for 8 hours is going to be really popular for 3 weeks and then it's barely going to get talked about again, except for nostalgia's sake, 10 years later. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I love the fact that...
Even some of these games, like, how nostalgic will you be for Assassin's Creed 3? I mean, granted, the game was awesome.
Maybe some people that are 12, 13 years old now, 10 years old, maybe they'll be nostalgic, but I don't give a fuck. And I mean, I think there are, and this is where I think Nintendo can make their money. They really got to jump on the bandwagon of speed racing. Like, they should be fucking paying Cosmo, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you gotta start sponsoring. Like, companies have to get more involved in the competitive scenes. Like, this is Capcom's big problem with fighting games, and like that's why League of Legends also is popular. League of Legends World Finals for Season 2, $1 million prize pool. Yeah, you think people are going to start playing that game with $1 million on the line? Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, like StarCraft has decent money. Fighting games have crap money.
How much does the first place team get?
They got $1 million.
They got so first place got $1 million.
So between 5 people, it's a 5-man team.
So $200,000 a piece.
Yeah,
that's
huge.
Yeah.
You know,
that's huge.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we should wrap up for the day. We've been going for like an hour already, so
I've got an hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah. I guess any shout-outs, anything, any closing words?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to shout out. I think, you can mention who to watch for fighting games. But I want to say, if you're interested in speed racing, check out Cosmo Wright. Cosmo OOT is his sort of his tag, his handle.
And I watch Cosmo all the time too, guys.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a lot of fun to watch, even if you're not into it. Like just when I want to watch Zelda stuff for like fun, I watch Cosmo, and he'll also on his stream. They have a team, the speed racing team, the speed running website will be up on there. All the people in the chat will be helpful, and he has a lot of other information on his stream. And then I want to plug Towley, who's the big PvE content person.
He does a lot of stuff on all MMOs too, guys, not just WoW. So if you're into Guild Wars 2,
anything.
Side with the Old Republic, I don't think anybody plays that game anymore, but if you do, he does a lot of stuff with everything. So
yeah, he does a lot of stuff with everything. He's just primarily WoW, especially right now with Mott being so new. But I would check him out. So I want to plug those two, and then once again, you can grab me at ASBean on Twitter. You can email us at hardcoregcg@gmail.com. And I would recommend, obviously also Twitch. Twitch is HG4CG on Twitch TV, so please follow us there as well. What?
I said, yeah, definitely follow us on
Twitch.
On Twitter and on Twitch.
Yeah.
That way you guys can get information. I will definitely be posting up on those things a lot, so any upcoming information, definitely follow us on there.
Yeah, I would also like to mention again, please email us with any input or questions. Hey, right now, if you want to come on the show too, we are looking for input. Joe is really predominantly fighting games. I'm really into basically anything Blizzard, especially WoW. And then we kind of mutually dabble in other things. But we'd love to get someone else's input and perspective on this. Email us with any questions, anything you want us to discuss, and really hope to build upon this. So hit us up.
Yeah, and I guess it's just for me. Guys, if you guys need to check this out, because this is the best podcast you will ever watch. It is way better than ours. It's called The Show That Sucks. It is Marvel's Customs, Hanzo Gonzo, and I play winners Harrison over in NorCal. Check them out. The show is fucking hilarious. It is extremely unprofessional, and if you're under the age of 18, please do not watch it. Well, watch it, listen to it, because they're idiots. But it's an awesome show. But yeah, other than that, guys, obviously check out SureYouCan.com. Follow me on Twitter at TBLightningLegs. I know it's wrong on the screen right now, but that'll be fixed. Follow us at HG4CG on Twitter for all information. And lots of stuff. Obviously, guys, check out Team Solo Mid. All those guys like Atlal Dyrus. He is awesome. Really good solo top player, so you guys should check him out. At Ultra TV, I know they're going on a break right now, but if you're looking to get into fighting games, First Attack, James Chen, every single Monday, will teach you how to play that game from scratch. Never played it before. So check it out. And obviously, Day 9, because Day 9's the man.
Yeah, Day 9's the man.
And you guys should all be watching Day 9, even if you don't watch StarCraft.
Right, Day 9. Yeah, it's like I want to plug Day 9. I also want to plug Scott Johnson and the Instance and Frog Studios in general.
Scott Johnson is,
and they don't even, these guys don't even need plugs. What?
The leader in podcasts.
Yeah, the leader in podcasts.
The inventor of podcasts.
Yeah, he has a podcast about everything. And I mean, the Instance, they have Mike Morheim and all the heads at Blizzard, plugging that show. They even gave him special thanks on Mists of Pandaria expansion, because he's done... They didn't even do a BlizzCon this year, so he did his Nerdtacular, and they gave him Blizzard gave him tons of shit to, basically just replaced BlizzCon for the year, because they didn't have one. So, I mean, this guy doesn't even need a plug, but he deserves a plug.
Alright, guys, anyway, we are signing off. Thank you for watching HG4CG, and, I'm at TB Lightning Links, ASB. We will see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Fair.